It's a welcome everybody. It is 6 o'clock. August 11th, which is also
Sure. Always be yourself. Everyone else is taken.
thank you. As you do, if there's anybody that's at the podium for a non-agenda item. Seeing no one rushing into to the administrator. Administrative report. We had a town meeting where 9 voters. And just remind everybody tomorrow, we'll be voting from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. in the Lincoln Books. Show we done last week, which was approved $330. And I is the Youngtown Road project crossing. The road is closed in case people can't find some way. The excavation of inland fish and wildlife sent people down to the project area. We locate that elsewhere in the rock. Then the excavation commenced. Miraculously, things went as planned. So we're now waiting for the door to deliver next week. So follow the activity, but quickly try to do that excavation early so that if you find something planned under the ground, you don't have to postpone thousands of dollars a day. And the other thing we're doing is doing painting with some damage. Repainted the whole thing. Painting. Thank you for the focus meeting. Okay. Any questions? We'll move on to meetings. All meetings are here. Nothing else. Otherwise, the special town meeting referendum election on Tuesday, August 12th, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. in the Loft Common, which is the cafeteria to most of us. The Lincoln Central School. There's people with interest in the floor, so that makes the clear. That's why we're not in there. The board is scheduled to meet Wednesday, August 13th, 6 p.m. and the select board meets next on Monday, August 25th, 6 p.m. It is next upcoming events.
Just I have this email from going up around 20%, and so I looked into it, and the main superintendent of Perry announced that the Bureau of Insurance holding a approval from this Friday, August 15th at 9 a.m. Health insurance providers will be there on hand to talk about the proposed rate increases, and there will be opportunity for public comment. It is virtual, so you have to register to maine.gov. You can send comments in to an email that they have listed, and all of this is largely because over 100,000 Mainers are looking at health insurance rates increasing from 8.4 to 30% rate. Having a public forum, so I figured I would share that in case you want to
Meeting minutes. From the board, meeting minutes as presented.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Thank you. Next on our agenda is a revaluation update.
You don't remember, and we're able to see, or the updated presentation. I just keep about where we stand with the evaluation. I believe that is specific information there. We've completed our aspects of getting ready to send out notice to the public for their new values. But the way we like to do it is with the new value, we send out a new tax estimate. That down for the administrator to come up with the year's budget. And I know we put out notice. So those meetings are going to be here at the town office. The week of August 25th, 25, 26, 27, 28. During the day for the most part, if we have enough of enough space that want to meet us in the evening, we'll set up some evening meetings as well. It's hard to really judge how many people we're going to see, but we've got to fit through. So, however many we need to be here to fulfill it 1 week, we will. So we meet here, and if somebody could to see us with a question, it's 20 minutes each for every chat. If there are any questions they have, conversation goes with whatever they want to go with it. So the questions, if there's anything factually wrong, we can verify with the meeting, we'll change it. If somebody comes in and we can't verify anything, we have an agent standing by to look at it again with them. Great. Everybody responds with some sort of affirmation, yes, no. And if we're able to change something on that, we'll show them what the value is. And then it's part of conversations. Not everybody can make it that week. We understand that. We're going to open it up to emails, phone calls. We will let the specific kind of any letters that can never answer. But if somebody doesn't want to come in, can't make it in. It's a precursor to what happens with a normal commitment. You know, as we all know, family going to be starting within 85 days. But we encourage anybody who can't make it that week, or even after the go out, the same courtesy, the same minor changes, or just being a lot more work on our end if we have to be on or something like that. So those will be that week, and the idea was any cleanup that happens during those meetings, a couple of days after, we're hoping to start the commitment on September 15th. That's something for the meeting. So we send out the letters to the taxpayers. Same happens with the tax bills grow. The only thing we have on the town is to keep our schedule. And once you guys, if you connect to you by Friday, we'll have the schedules here in the office and all the links to the taxpayers.
Thank you. Questions?
It says Town of Lincolnville 2025 reval. Did you do this?
Yeah, that will be there. And then part of that will be individual information value tab.
How specific will the individual information be? Is it just a number?
It will be land value, building value, just like that.
I guess how many houses did you physically go into
I don't even have that number.
look at?
We went through every. Inside, I didn't bring that. I didn't know before. I didn't bring that.
I'm just worried because I've heard a lot of uncertainty from a lot of fellow townspeople about. I never knew when they came by. I don't know, I don't know how accurate my assessments. Should be. So I feel like that it's telling me people you'd actually gone into their houses, because I know, you know, if you're just doing quick drive-bys, you don't know how what's inside, what the quality is of what's inside, and if we're just getting a number, and it's been many years since we had a reval, I'm just picturing a lot of people wanting to get some specifics about their new assessment, and what you've got here gives you like 108 time slots in those 4 days for one of your people. So maybe if you've got
multiple people.
3 or 4 people that might be. I just wanted to
That was the plan. There was 100 time slots per week. We'll have 4 or 5 people.
Okay.
And it's, I understand your concern. We don't do drive-bys. We go to the property, get out of the door, on the outside, nobody's going to make sure that what we have is accurate. And it's different than the old time evaluation where you're creating files from these. We're taking the existing record as it is. And we will assume it's been vetted in the sense that we've been building people on the property, even if the old system was about property, we've been building on those papers for years. So there's an assumption that I haven't already looked at this. Like, so right, like I said, that it's a cursory number purposely, because anything more than that, it takes somebody like myself or my crew to explain it to them. It's just that's what the meeting is for. That's what after the information isn't public, anybody calls out and wants the additional can be got to them. You know, to a point, but we really after the first opportunity to speak to people and explain how we got there, why we got there, the sales that we used to there. And that was the first thing to do. And we're all, excuse me, I'm convinced that when we do our job right, we have the right information, the tax is going to be fair. Somebody comes in to bathroom count, administration, and everything like that. Everything's supposed to change because we can't find something that's not properly listed. Mostly because we put people the live database in the last, it's been proven for the last 20 years. So
Thanks.
that's that one. Yeah, I'm looking to grab letter that you have with on to reach. David, I think that'll be an issue. It'll be a bottleneck. Should be like there should be an email address. Well,
That phone number actually wraps down to the next 4 we have.
okay.
So you'll get a live person or you'll get a voicemail if everybody's talking on the phone, but
So you're confident it's not.
I think we prefer to have it via phone, and that way we've got a record and we can take the time versus emailing. You can get people saying, well, I can't come at 20, I can come at 10.
No, I hear you.
Any other questions from the board? Thank you. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Look forward to the price.
We'll see you on the 15th.
Excellent. Thank you. We have 2 liquor licenses. One is Lincoln Launch Lafayette LLC. Representative.
My name is Lafayette, I'm the manager of Oster Park. And I have and we're planning of opening Oster Park as a restaurant. It's going to be a big job, but we'd like to have it in case somebody wants to come and buy it, and it's not interested of opening the restaurant. Knowing that have a liquor license will be more attractive, more attractive to the viewing, I believe.
That was going to be my first question. Because you're not serving there today.
We are not serving any
Value proposition is the existing liquor license.
yes.
Oh, we've got figure is that what is the gross food income for the license? License that will land on the expiration $1,027.83, and you're not serving food.
No, but we're a gift shop where we can buy t-shirts, sweaters, souvenirs, and we have packaged foods. Those $10,000 are chips, ice cream, like ice cream. In this 10,000 is also like sneakers, all kind of candies that we buy and we resell, lobster gummies, Small kitchen, blueberry jam. This is what includes $10,000. Okay. Beer, but it's just you can buy a bottle of beer and take it. Like really of beer and stuff.
So this is just a request for a license, just in case.
We always had it. I'm like, okay, yeah.
You always had it, you always sold food.
Yeah,
Stuff that you just, the stuff that you just forgot or that you just not really sit down and eat food.
yes, it's not.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Other questions? No.
I mean, other than the silly detail of that one question that keeps everybody up. With third and school, it's and instead of the first one, so, inclusion of the school, even though it's just that question that everybody keeps messing because they changed the word. So including in order to satisfy that and there. That question.
So assuming for the that's when I think the next time to put this.
Yeah.
I'm still asking for better. And they want to here, but it's been cool. But you have to sell a certain amount of food. It's on site. Is it not just beer and a cooler to go out the door and take home and drink? Or am I completely wrong? This busted down place, and they're also asking for just in case somebody wants to buy it. And I get that. Another option to put do, but I think it is a little bit more. It's not a no brainer. They've been doing the standard as far as having a liquor license that's not being. I think that the girl alcohol, property, whatever, and your view is kind of things you flagged about closeness to facilities. If there's been disturbing the peace, calls, or that there's any health violations that you're aware of that might not be. We have this, but it's not copacetic with the state is running a license thing there. Yeah, just that. Yeah, you. This is the first that the applicant has to overcome. I mean, and I can certainly put in the comments whatever you wish. If somebody's concerned about sales or thereof. I asked that question. I used to have a business here in town, and I used to sell alcohol with and I know there was a term dollar amount that I had to keep for years. I feel that is what, and I feel that it deserves a look before we do. My own personal opinion, I just don't want to get us out of it because it's really a place to go sit down.
We could call that out, so. the state inspector. Ultimately, yeah, them to review. It, you know, and if it didn't meet their criteria. Then they have a conversation, yeah.
The criteria that I think were to, I don't think there's an issue there.
Yeah. On the road.
I looked at it. Yeah, I see it. They making the final call, the next call. But for clarity on that issue, Dave, if you can do that to comment, that'll be a good thing to have. You might put in the state's mind that yes, they have to reword this. And maybe the next time we see it, it will be reworded. Now,
Any other?
So I think what we're all talking about is the fact that the premise type for this license in this application says Class A restaurant. And that's what our issue is right now. In Class A restaurants, there is no food being served, right? It just may need a different definition, of which there's, I don't know, 8 institutions. So
Any other comments? Well,
I moved to approve the liquor license requested by Lafayette LLC, and that the town administrator be publicly provides to indicate as such with the comments brought up here tonight. The Bureau of Alcohol and Lottery Operations.
second. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Thank you very much.
Yeah,
thanks.
Next, we have Mino LLC. This is, in. Hello. Hello. If you'd like to take it up.
No. Other than it's nice to have an excuse to leave property in the summer, it's see people are outside of the restaurant. But no, the first time that we've actually got on the meeting agenda in time, so we didn't have to ask for extension from the state. So I'm happy that we did that in time, and the online portal made it a lot easier than filling out the 14-page paper applications.
Any questions?
Other than that pesky question 20 that everybody.
I filled it out the same way that I've always filled it out.
Yes, and it's not you, then they changed it to instead of the premises to the nearest school or place of worship. And place of worship, and being a bunch of bureaucrats sitting up here whose job is to cross the T's. We don't make that level at all, so David will work with you to make sure that it goes through as it should. We don't want the even more professional bureaucrats to trip you up.
Requested by Camino LLC that the town administrator be authorized to indicate such on alcohol and lottery operations total
second,
with change to question number.
Yeah.
Is there? Okay. Moving. Any discussion? No. All in favor? Next. Thank you very much.
Back to the-
Next agenda is just the status of Wentworth. Very much. Welcome, Greg.
I've been here before. President of over 52 years, so I'm pretty good at this, enough of this, so I know mostly what comes and goes in the I've already to turn around to get to that point. I road south. I've been for 52 years, and so I know what the agreements that have been made as part of this. And things that they're not good at. There's never been any contract, anything like that. Listen, I've been here before, I've had selectmen come over and look at things, I had the town administrator there, looking at things, and they kind of ebbs and flows there. And sitting on my floor, different things right under my nose. What's happened recently is the town has gone beyond private road sign and beyond whatever the government is looking at. I know that the town can get that documentation from the bottom of 170 from 1830. The town bought back what it's what has happened just recently, right? People came in and found very glad. I can't imagine anything less than $100 will let it all way beyond town property. What brought me over to the town administrator just recently was today on the court again. Here comes the gravel truck and the radar. There's a post there. Nice green and yellow post. Well, to say the least, they went and overshot the mark. So that's when I came over and saw the town administrator and said, I'd like to only request the town selectmen to authorize the administrator to look at the documentation that they have in existence and show where the town road ends. And I think that needs to be done by a like that. He's an engineer from Wisconsin, so I know he knows how to. Everybody has a deed to their property, the town has a deed to their property. He's down in the cellar, if you will. The other thing that I have, because this has been going on so long, is I have a survey from a surveyor, and it clearly states on this survey with the town. So if they're interested, I always interested. Whole area would be moved down to that side. The license. What I'm here for tonight is to ask, we can put this well, so the town knows what they own and with the strain and the stress that's being from that whole dirt road. Around here, the very fucking dry, they're becoming hard. And with the stress that's being put on that road by all the development that's going on out back, sooner or later, you folks are going to be faced with, we want to wait potholes. So it would be advantageous. You want to know where town road ends and where it takes these over here. Any questions on that?
Yes, I do. You said there is a sign that says private road. Is that indicating that
No, that's just impervious. The business falls short of that. The town property ends before they
and it ends before your driveway. Around courtesy.
then the turnaround is that. I've been right there for any contractor that wanted to know. You know, when West Road is. So it would be, I would settle for whatever the commissioner comes up with, but it has to show me proof. It can't just be willing. We can obviously used when he was up looking at the product.
Who's he? I think he's referring to me. Oh,
It's been going on. It's been going on ever since. It's not putting that. It's a little dirt end turned on. And now it's. I'm up.
So the town, the gravel that you're talking about grading and the tree are all in that section between, right, between.
Unless the town can show me evidence that doing that.
So you obviously upset about the tree,
I,
but the grading, are you also upset about the grading?
we're not supposed to be expending town money on private roads. And I was just letting that was the standing rule back in the day, but times have changed,
I am familiar with what Road, but I'm not familiar with how much of it we're talking about that you're saying the town is expending resources to maintain.
that could be very easily done with an engineer.
I will say that, it's common practice here in the town on your term, whether it's for emergency vehicles, plows, graders, etc. And we use Englewood Road as an example that the town road ends, but then there's that cul-de-sac at the end. But we do the cul-de-sac and you turn around. And so are we going on to non-town property? Absolutely, but I could also point out to it basically all of the other dirt roads that we have either different outright agreement to turn around on the private property in order to be able to maintain access or service any dirt road for emergency reasons, for maintenance reasons.
And I'm thinking that the other piece of that is that if you're maintaining, up to this point, you do need to turn around. So you need to maintain the turnaround.
And that's been basically what it amounts to, the right turn around. But now, instead of just having the right turn around, you start cutting down lots of trees. Because I was a selectman, I ran state to maintain private road. So that's yet another thing.
Is the, well, I hate using the word I assume, but I'm assuming that our public studies director clear this aware of that Greg's referring to is
we believe we know where the town has been for a long time, turned around, come back up, contain the thing. It's gonna,
So, no problem. with that.
yes,
and do you have a view as to how far past that's going to be for something to happen?
we certainly had instances in the past where we've had contractors working in town that have gone beyond around. Which this coach has kind of pointed out numerous times or so times today.
Because we have this for the town.
And reach out to the contractor and say that the road ends here, they're not here. On the grading, you gotta get the grader off the road. Or strap it go to the turnaround. And if you blade, you touch anyway into the thing, you're gonna
And there is no problem with that. It's now it seems to be coming out with it now. And trees on them.
well, in the tree, and correct me if I mistake this, was on its pathway, if not dead.
Well, there are numerous trees, same condition going up that road, they're all old, plain trees. Yeah,
So we get issues with dead trees. We try to remove trees before they fall because they don't seem to fall, Monday to Friday.
That's nicely said, but that's not to be done on somebody's else's land.
Well, all of our, that's the majority of our roads are called down road, but they have a right of way that goes with. We don't own the fee simple land underneath the road. I don't know if we own any roads. Land underneath it. We have a right of way. The right of way oftentimes is different width than the road itself. Because we have ditches, we have utility poles, we don't have utility poles, so that utilities are within our right of way. We have culverts, we have that goes with the road. It's not just physically road itself. If we have a hazard to the public, our first primary responsibility is for public. Whether it be a road, sidewalk, street, car, whatever. Trees fall over, living trees fall over, dead trees. Dead trees fall over, palms or living trees fall over. That's my experience. Others may have different experiences. If we have a hazard that we know of, we're to the public traveling that road, we are either going to remove it ourselves, or if it's a tree that's 100 feet off the road, we make the property owner say that's a hazard. We'll work with you to take it down, or we'll send you a note that says, hey, if that tree falls down, it's on you. Because we
Now,
can't
with all those wonderful words that we said, this applies to private property.
it's all private property.
No, road, that's not private.
It is. The state acquired right of Green Acre
Okay.
and has a slab city road. And there's a difference between right of way and ownership.
Is there, does the town have a right of way? I'll accept any evidence you have to prove. I'll accept a deed, a right of way written on code, or anything.
Well,
But you don't have a right of way as far as I know.
I'm going to speak for
Okay.
this. Right, 47 years ago, had me write it.
Right. And I just look at
I just looked at it and told you where we think we have the ability to work, maintain the road. That's that,
but it's still.
and we're going to continue that. The select board tells me.
And that's what
It's
I'm down this road.
literally.
The questions.
I think it's more of an observation. It seems to me that even though we seem to have a practice of the turnarounds being beyond the end of the town portion, it seems like what you're asking is that we change the turnaround specifically, well, but then the turnaround would be at the actual edge of the town road.
Please don't misconstrue what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to say that the town is walking out from the agreement that's been there for it's long time. Run around, doing all the maintenance and the safety stuff that they have to do. But now,
Are you saying they're going beyond the turn?
also, yeah, and that's what brought me over here. Like,
That's where the trees were cut down?
but, yeah,
Is that where the trees were cut down?
the tree was cut down. Still on private property.
But
And every tree in Lincolnville is a safety hazard. Town's gonna have. Yeah.
oh, the ones that are near roads.
You know, the town is responsible for. The town is responsible for the private road. And they don't own the right of way.
I feel like you probably have it both ways. you don't want us to move the turnaround so that it's specifically within the bounds of the turnaround. But you also don't want, I mean,
I
it
don't-
sounds like they said honest mistakes are made by contractors where they go beyond because they don't understand where it ends.
This was going out of the way to cut down this tree.
Yeah. Well, I just want to say, it sounds like we have at least two, one of which is right here.
I'm the best for
Finish, thanks. And, second one, it has to do with information, which I'm supposed to like to have. That's something that we should be able to go down to the basement and get it. And, whether that starts the first issue, I have no idea. Maybe I think I saw the whole, I have no idea what it would, what I think would help with. I think we just kind of move forward and clear it up a little bit. We got this information, I think we should. I don't appreciate it. Yeah, yeah, but that's. we take on it.
I mean, not to look too much into the weeds, but I have to presume that it was the position of the town that the tree is in the right of way or posed an imminent threat to the right of way. Is that correct?
We don't go around
I can't imagine.
cutting and removing trees alongside the road for cheap way of spending that. Well,
It's first time ever. It's the first tree they cut down. But
This was beyond the way in your opinion. So I'm just, I'm confused really what you're asking for.
I think for the town, the evidence which is in the vault. Once the surveyor has paid. What's in the vault, because that's the heat lamp,
From the 1800s.
1851. Yeah, we built it around a long time.
You don't say.
And this is a little bit, I know, there's a landowner asking the town not to spend money on his. You please let them jump at something like that, not with the private.
Copy of the survey. And then. Yeah.
It's and you folks direct. Town, he's the town. Road commissioner also. To just measure it off, I do that, we say, holy smokes, that evidence. Because he's gonna show me the right of way, apparently, that he thinks that Lincolnville has. If you have a right of way, that's other than right of way is not just something that. We're written down.
In my personal opinion, town resources right now. But my view is if there is a within the town right away, but on your land, and we don't cut that, and I have a house, and that tree comes down, listen to me, give you a chance to make it work, right? Yeah, the tree comes down, and I have the fire, let's say, it hit my line, it's on the house. We take it fire. Don't hook it up. Now we protect the right of way. So you and the man together.
I know the town road ends. I'm not talking about the tree behind your house falling down.
We cut that tree to protect the road. The right of way, the road, yeah, if there was a fire or something like that, it's our responsibility. You've been here, you know what the responsibility is.
I know the town will be. I know that currently.
We aren't doing that. We aren't. I don't sign my name to it, and I look everything up. My personal opinion, I do not speak for any of the board members right here. But I think there is a mix of personal issue with what actually is going on. My personal opinion.
The town cut down the tree on my property. It's a big so.
I knew about that.
You knew about it?
We know what's going on around the town to protect the right of way, Greg.
Okay. We'll raise their hands over here. Is anybody? I think the only potential course of action is we can, for the, especially for facilities director, as far as it's confirming. This is where the sort of ends that I think our decisions have been pretty clear as to what we're trying to protect as far as the public right of way.
Can we put signage there, like using that survey thing? Can we figure out exactly where the town's maintenance? What we're looking for that responsibility, but, you know, I mean, you were saying you don't have a sign. Right. And we, what
we can say is going to, I'm not interested in expending dollars that haven't raised appropriated from taxpayers to commission a survey, clarify a survey, or go beyond signage. So to that end, like, can we produce a survey from the 1800s? You know, 55 years after the town was incorporated? Sure, we can do that. But I think my question to the board is, and I'm talking to the board right now, is to what end? When we produce this document, we share it with the landowner, taxpayer who's here expressing his concerns to us tonight. You know, it's, and then are we expected to change our practices as a result of that? Is that give license, you know, to change our program, to change, you know, to change what David alluded to is, you know, there's been a lot of conversation about what our duties and responsibilities are, and we have a duty and responsibility to maintain and a safe navigation for a multitude of reasons. A portion of the town is entrusted to the care of our taxpayers, us. And we're the agents for that care and maintenance program. And so, yeah, we can provide you with a survey. And if that's what you're asking, I'm speaking. If that's what you're asking, then we can provide that to you. But it doesn't mean that anything else is going to change.
I'm gonna ask you about the survey. I have a survey right here. But a surveyor.
Okay.
I'm not asking for that.
But just one last question. What exactly do you want us to do?
It was advised, the administrator, who is also the road commissioner, to get around there and that the deed from Route 52, the length of the deed, and the end of the town.
We mark that.
That may not be true.
Okay,
There are 223 years of history in Lincolnville, since Lincolnville was incorporated. One piece of paper from 1851 or any other time does not necessarily speak accurately to the other 222 years of history that we're looking at. We, as a community, had this issue brought forward by Mr. Boach in 2018. The select board, the then select board, which some of you were on and some of you were not, invested the town's time and money to meet with legal counsel and the then road commissioner about this issue. The board at the time, after getting counsel and hearing from the road commissioner, had the town administrator write a letter to that about it back. I believe if you change that position of the town, certainly your right and ability, I would encourage you once again to expend the town's time and money to have counsel on that, because paper and actions have consequences.
Thank you. There, any recommendations from anybody else on the board?
I just repeat that. If going upstairs, someone ended up on however old it might be, it's going to satisfy Mr. Roche. There's no commitment on our part, no obligation on our part. That's what Labor was saying.
He is a citizen. And
Yeah, so, yeah.
Public record, so it doesn't require us to direct.
I understand. I'm saying I'm not so sure why it's coming to us for that. He can speak the paper that's available to him. That's as far as I can see us go. And no further. It's
Further action at this time, then? You wanted- Excuse me, did you?
Yeah.
Thank you for your talk.
But people can hear it.
Somebody else.
A citizen of the town, is like, not on. I really give that all that. Thank you. For the whole time.
The reason the road ended up getting because I mentioned it. Mr. Coach and allow private road people to put any vehicles or tractors or anything. It's possible. There's like a huge section that's always in the minefield. And I commented on it to the farmer and they've been ripped out. We have spent at least 10,000 on that section. To keep that. I mean, you can find on that. A lot of it. I need to make everything is voluntary. And we managed really nice. We have been on Mr. Voter because and then it comes in the winter. The same. How proud they are money too. And they put it on the road because nobody will hear it. So I can't do that. I just find it that we're touching it. And you know, doing it. He's people. You know, that was the thing it is made. I kind of
That's one of the stuff. You can get it Wednesday.
Yeah.
Sorry, tomorrow.
well, my survey shows where the town roads. I spent a lot of money in it.
And different surveys.
So
Surveys definitely.
Yes, they do your.
Richards, and it looks like the survey was provided was our survey. Surveyor Abraham. So I find it interesting that he accepts what the road is, but doesn't accept the boundary of his campus as currently. So he's.
Not and I would just say that what the roads would really like to have is about 10 to 20 Right, before we can enter the driver. He doesn't want anybody to touch it. He doesn't have to drive on it. We do. And he wants us. That's my. That's.
Right, yes. I just want to apologize for people that are going to exchange words. Here, we not at all how we operate. Sometimes things just get. And we try to make it very fast. Everybody, that's what it is, and if we can't be honest. Between. And I, again, I'm sorry to be here. Um,
What it takes work and have and, you know, having been on the, having been through this conversation previously, and to my point earlier, you know, we are the stewards of state passage on the road. And so in this case, I feel it's our duty to not do anything and to keep the maintenance program that we have established and have that very, very, very.
That being said, I want to do it. Remember, if somebody comes in the town office and requests a specific order in the law, by
Absolutely.
the votes, Mr. Richard, Mr. Davis, Mr. Smith, Mrs. Smith, it matters.
Yep.
Excellent.
And I think as both Mr. Roach alluded, there is a platform for complaints to be heard to site visits. It's not as though there aren't time here. There's effort that is put into people's concerns and, you know, so that the application is otherwise.
Thank you all. This role. Yeah, just quickly, just, we had received, email, and call to those council governments regarding their thriving communities and their sub-regional transportation working group. Those are our very day. Say that the lunch. Go. I step up and do it. But yeah, and then they're also looking for somebody to participate in this transportation. So we can,
Yeah, if I could just add in on that. That's actually another thing here. But, no, we're looking at private communities. Study, like I mentioned last week, 2 tiers, larger working group and smaller subgroups. Smaller subgroups supposed to be those people. We have to give observations for us and what's by Lincolnville for the Walden. And the municipal representation is a great thing. It's not a necessary thing. But if anybody from here, although one group, the larger advisory board, subsite. But anyway, if there's anybody here who wants to do it, an opportunity to get the voice out there. Which is my recruits, by the way.
It sounds really fascinating, but I can't.
It's-
Oh my God.
I'm not saying I'm right into.
Yeah, I mean, really good conversation, but I don't want to get to something and not be.
I think it's likewise for all of us. Okay.
Looks like you're at.
Well, we're not hearing that large, like, silence about all the kind of Lincolnville group. I'll think of that at this moment.
There's opportunities in the future to jump in, all right?
Okay. Well, item number 11, energy boiler replacement projects. Yeah. On to. Great. Okay. I think she needs I think it's what we need to will be. Involved, they're probably not going to answer their. Yeah. So they have the options. Yes, they have additional. They it's facilities and. We'll build more later, but for meeting, we need it.
Yep. There's, and then he'll just.
It does look.
Yeah, it's.
There you go. There you go.
That's exciting. Okay.
I can't actually hear very well, so that's the reason why I wasn't sure when I needed to say anything, but I did get a message saying I am muted. If you want to type into the chat, I can respond back. It's just everything is coming through garbled.
Well, Tracy, we were invited to come address the select board. And so I want to tell you information you want from me. I'm assuming that generally using this forum as a way to reach more people and avail them the information from the things that are going on at the school in terms of facilities and physical planning needs is one of the primary reasons I'm here, and the other would be to answer the questions you have I can answer, and I think the third piece would be to let you know the pathway forward is in terms of decision making and for education. Does that sound okay? So we have experienced over the past couple of years some pretty significant building issues, and ranging from intercom failure, more recent power failure, roof leaks, issues with our generator, to lots of information, lighting and our egress, like sports. So really companies lost. So I think it's coming to a place where it's a lovely facility. I was a lot younger, 21 years. We took a lot of things to replace but the biggest ticket item is our boiler plant. So our boiler plant last year experienced we had one boiler dangerous because it was emitting gases and stopped working.
Plus, we have two separate water supporters, which are pumps directly from the boilers that circulate that water. We fail. So that was a piece for rebuild. So what we operated on last year, for a time, in November last year, it was a big deal. 40 to 50 kids in the building. Maybe the rest of them one 21-year-old. So really, this was a urgent need. And earlier this year, we filed a legal process an energy savings company called EFC. We enlisted them to get boards to design a boiler plant operation. Other needs that are outlined in the facilities plan. You guys haven't seen that. Some not. And to give us some bids to give us some for how we would remedy some of these issues. So what you have in front of you are the 6 options. And we put those options to the school committee to see if they had interest in actually choosing one of those. There were a number of members here. We had some facility committee members, and some members of the select board there. The recommendation that was strong and well heard was that we probably should enlist the broader community to let them know that there was a significant investment they should consider in the physical plan of the school. And so bring in taxpayer into the process. So we took that to heart and we started outlining a way talking, here with you guys and requested us to just talk to you about it. And then we've got day after tomorrow, we have a facilities and maintenance committee meeting. The budget committee been invited, the school committee has been invited, and it's an open forum for the public to come, at which point we will have a brief introduction, and then we have Tom Steekens from MC, who is our point person there. He'll be on hand to be able to answer any technical questions that members of the committees look at. And we plan to follow that up 21st, that's on the 13th at 6 o'clock at LCS in the West Common, and in the same spot, at the same time, on the 21st, we plan to have Tom Steekens back for an open public forum where everyone try to get the word out and see if we can let our public help us to get feedback to weigh in on our plans. So that was what our timeline looked like. That was, we were hoping we could get some support for this. We really need to go into the winter with one. I'm very concerned about that. The options in front of you are limited to the boiler plan. They address a number of other issues. That's main options, so that we can couple the people who get input. Kind of and what Tom will be able to show at the meeting, local meetings, is the actual breakdown of that for each individual line item within those options. So you can see what individual itemized things cost. So with that, I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you so much for coming. Watching is watching for attention.
We're all excited.
Who created in each of these 6 options? Who created the list of 11 lists of metrics?
Some of it and some of them, right? That was based on these trials were like we had discussion around priorities. That's in the list. We rated them at low, medium, and they came in. The PMC, probably the building, the engineers and experts came up with a list of things
they thought would be wise for us to address. The other thing that Tom will be able to, I think in almost every single thing that we discuss is this long-term savings of actually renovating these things. So it's actual.
I have follow-up
Yeah,
questions.
Yeah.
So, you mentioned a bunch of different things when you put to the podium. System, egress. Where did those things fall?
Remedy them already.
Already done already.
Almost in total. So
Not
no, all that was an indicator to the committee that like we're at a place where it's not just one thing that's coming down. It's pretty easy at the budget. We've not spent time. I just think emergency with the there was some urgency with egress also for emergency situations. Like I can't, if I can't get in a loss across all our family, next eviction safety. So we intercom being able to communicate through the whole school.
Yep.
Certain things you just can't wait for a group process.
Yep.
We'll just take care of it. So
totally here. And so, yeah, I mean, absolutely there's the failed components to the functionality of the infrastructure. Curious how aspects like putting in or expanding a behavioral room and adding an office or parking lot paving can be included in the same conversation as bringing key
great question. Great question.
heating, cooling components of this.
So the room, the office space, the extra special education room is a matter of convenience. It's not necessarily connected to, they have contractors that they know they can bring it in and work done quickly. So I'd say convenience, it's efficiency, to be perfectly honest. So that's a little different. That does not have to be a part of this contract. That's something we can handle on our own. It's easier to absorb in the context of a 17-year lease purchase agreement.
Yeah, but you can see how sort of it stands out as an outlier.
It does.
We're having conversations about
We agree.
failing infrastructure, like, but this is
It's a very, very fair point. I agree. It was the contractor, they have a influence and they can get somebody there quickly. But the thing is, seems like an outlier, but it's not. They have to tear up in their proposal. They would have to tear up some of the driveway to to run lines underneath to sink our the propane tanks. So that would be, they have to repair that. And if we're going to put a contractor up to repair it, economy of scale would say we will save a great deal of the long term to restore the whole driveway, which is massive problematic. We complain for that all year long and request from town administrators and what's the long term plan for fixing that driveway occasionally. And so that's where that comes. You've got to repair some of it. While you're there, pull your equipment.
wow.
Those are great questions. I appreciate it.
So,
Yes.
we've been down the road with paving contractors, both fulfilling and not fulfilling their contractual requirements by the time it gets too. I mean, I know you wanted some of this stuff in. Is it possible to get this boiler room project done exclusive of the paving? Just given that getting a contractor in before the temperatures is not really nice.
I mean, guys, I think this will be a Tom Seekins question. Based on my conversation with him, he thinks yes. We just have to get the excavation work done before the ground freezes. Boiler changeover is possible in December, even if you do one at a time. He says it's possible. It's been done before, and they do it before. I don't love it, but it's not impossible. Yeah, if that makes sense.
This may not be where to ask this question, but so I briefly looked at placement of tanks and why propane. I realize it's going to be more inexpensive down the road.
Mhm.
All of that. There's a high danger rate for propane. The question of tanks close to your
Hmm.
that close. And you have to cut out where your parking lot is, they can keep the parking lot pretty much all of it. To get where the tank is going, and everything. Why not spray out beside the spray out beside the tank? And I'm not just what you killed, you know, because when I hear propane, I automatically think I hate this. We, the person that's always it could be huge, but it could be huge.
Absolutely.
Propane and once propane explodes,
No doubt.
oil. To use it, you could figure it out in oil. Just think, figure it out. You know, and you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And well, just
It's a Tom Sequence question. I think it's a good question. He'll be able to answer probably later, right? I know that, so two different questions, right? So you've got a question about, right? He'll be able to answer that. Suspicion is that with a lot of the people, follow them into schools, he'll be able to speak to the history of bringing in schools. And that combined with, their, energy savings or money savings over time, it's less efficient per gallon in oil. It's so much cheaper than oil that it provides great savings. But it really is a Tom Seekins question. Give that to you. Location, I know they had their engineers out there full time at the most active place. And they, I mean, scan the whole. But that's including over next to everything else, and they were like, "This is the best place." I don't know exactly why, but they said probably the most cost place would be there.
the reason I asked that is because I heard, you know, places, you know, there.
I don't think so.
Yeah, at the end of the gym,
Yeah.
there's a thing of right there before it transitions to in front of the school.
Not just in town.
That's where they are.
No, it's not. Right, we thought about that. But we can go, there's underground stuff. It's the other, that was the first point that I, this next one is Patrick Cross between the driveway. Remember you have to do this was never you so the left of that building between the telephone pole, that's
Where the rate,
where the rates not under the garden to the other.
But yet, furnaces are going to be at the other end of the school.
And end of the school.
Yeah.
Would these all be things though that would kind of fit within the school committee's meeting to be able to go through all of these on Wednesday or the 21st in terms of logistics
I'm happy to
and
answer whatever.
semantics? I just don't want to have us answer it here and then the public miss out on it because then they're going to expect it to be answered at our meetings too.
yeah, right
And they're good questions. So
here.
That's right, kind of, he's got it.
That's a, if you look at the version, this is the August version.
Ultimately, they went to the survey and they ran underground. But all kinds of stuff underground.
I just, I don't really understand. The different options have different things with some heat pumps too. And it's here that talk about, you know, have you only got a rebate or something if it's a primary source? And all the options. It's 89,000 with. The MCP are recommending changing away from propane or oil to just heat pumps.
They're not recommending that. That's correct. And heat pump is really is the one that very heat source. So that would be a good question for Tom. But how they have more correctly man how to determine such things. You know,
I just, especially option one confusing because it says heat pump whole school. But then it still talks about different tanks and different words and I don't see how.
so the VRF systems, right? So you see the VRF systems, right? We put it into developments downstairs, upstairs, and just the what's common.
It's right, but option one says.
It's more for including. Now, the eligibility for efficiency means something that's the problem with that. That. But it's the cooling of the earth and the fact that the efficiency name reloaded incredible effective. But the floor is an option to be considered. Just to be. I'm personally to believe. Well, like that, I went to the yeah.
The need for.
Yes.
Yeah, and I Sean responded to me this afternoon.
Okay.
That answer,
Can I read?
please do.
So, the question was, whether or not, the initial interview, comments or query was going to be like, no. The response was that Oregon state statute is for the requirement as the potential contract will be 125. So the state mandates a sharing bond for the project for 125K. Introduction, operation, or repair of heat pump or other sites that so he says that what seems to be provides it's actually mandatory to have built drawn down the lease purchase. And he included in the RFQ to in good standing with the funding company.
Point to one of the current. Right. Looking forward. And invite the and say, okay, 10, that would be worthwhile. So we've had the ferry terminal project was being had being at a transform there. We want the fire. It's brought. So we'll get to all this. So all of the different options. Meeting. And also but doesn't necessarily mean
I expect these to be what's taking that, but if it isn't, a lease purchase, I've got to find another way to make it happen. I have to.
still on the list. So
I would say they have to be done. They have to be absolutely reasons for confidentialities. So that's why I wouldn't say what would be the case. So they have to be done. But I would say in the context of many projects. So when you see the task of coming up, one into another into That's, I think total cost of 25,000. So in the context of this budget, it wasn't very small. Well, that's very small. Item. We don't have those numbers in front of you, so you wouldn't know it. I can- it's rough. It's 45,000 is probably the thing that ruined half the worst half of the nation. And that is the controls. So those controls were never updated. So what the gentleman from mechanical service told me is that it's running a RAM, it can't take systems upgrades, and so it's glitching all the time. So I used to do a control with my laptop. You can't even sign in. And it's supposed to control it's like and things go so that the life of the works is extended because one runs and the circuit that one runs we can just run. And so one fail leak down into the other one. Just that is a critical piece. In my opinion. Yeah.
Don't have those numbers, will those numbers be provided?
I was this line item numbers.
Okay.
I also should make that
Provided at the meeting, or will we get them in advance so that we can digest them before we all show up for the Wednesday meeting?
I'll reach out to them.
It would be nice.
So I had two other item first. Yes, you mentioned at the beginning the variety of things that have gone wrong. That isn't really part of this, but I would like to comment that as a member of the facilities committee, Justin has been very reorganizing budget. So a lot of items have been addressed. That was cool. With a little impact to anything else. So, it's been very there's some efforts that I can get it at so that's great. My only other comment is one way it's going to be the other night is the public component of getting out in front of this behind it is super important. So the fact that you made the decision the other night and for this schedule, that anybody that's watching this, please, the public forum portion of this is first, so you can understand that's the process the school goes through. It's different than the habit goes through the budgeting and figuring out ways to pay for projects.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank
Yeah.
you very much for being Justin. So one thing that I've already mentioned it numerous times and with one of these things that you took care of from within, and I don't see things here, but it is ruthless leaking.
That's taken care of because that's still under
Okay.
warranty. So I mean, it's a bit of communication.
Longevity of our warranty.
I have to look. We're well within, because I think it was not terribly long before I started.
Okay. And when you say the roof is under warranty, this is just the unit.
It's the other side of the gym. Where the roof was over the left comment.
Okay.
It was a painful under a rubber mat on the roof. It took 4 times to come.
Okay.
Yep. You're welcome.
Just wanted to echo my gratitude that, the school committee, superintendent really have, as we say, went above and beyond to, educate the public and, I hope that we all do our part. And I feel like that's part of our responsibility sitting here on this side of the conversation. is to talk to people, to encourage them to participate in this public process that you're not required to have, but you are choosing to have. And I think it's a really great thing
I appreciate that. And I have some things also, no one's taking anybody much time, but you know, when we get going, I'm looking at the school year coming and I feel kind of pressure. And it's probably been 21 years of pressure building, but I feel it right now. So I'm like, we gotta go. We gotta get this happen. You know, parents, and so it's a real urgent need, but I think there was some real wisdom that came out in that last meeting where you just were, let's pump the brakes a little bit. You have a greater chance of success in actually solving this issue. If we bring in a broader and a lot of I think so. I appreciate it. You know, there's a way to get it. You say it, you respect it. I appreciate it. It's like, oh, yeah.
Thank you, Justice. Tracy, yeah,
I think I heard my name, but I'm not really sure. I don't really, I hear every other word, but I more just, I appreciate that you guys are, you know, partnering with us. I want to make sure that we are getting all this information out there and that, you know, the town knows about what's going on. So I appreciate you guys kind of helping us get the word out about this and, you know, putting it on your agenda just so we can get public awareness about it. And just encourage as many questions as possible to come our way so that we can make sure that we don't leave any stone unturned as we try to figure out how to best get this building both to benefit the students, but for the town emergency place for, you know, where everybody's got to go. If something goes wrong, that's where they're all going to land. They want to make sure the building is safe and warm for everybody as well. So I appreciate you guys.
to the well, in this
It's MMA valid for the election of an MMA executive committee. Board, Raul, Francis, and executive committee.
discussion, see favor. Thank you. I don't understand. Move from all of David second is David. You for a committee. And also does pretty well. I have personal life and schedule because of we gone so we'll be putting together your package. Doing on that. That will put us that will put us a few weeks behind our amendment. So we can push up the original first of taxes. That's what sometime early October, like October. That also I reviewed the statement and it made total sense. So we the meeting. So that's so
September 25th meeting being held on Monday, September 25th, and Monday, 29th.
That should be good. September.
Yes. Monday, September 16th.
Seconded. Never.
And nothing.
I make sure something, you know, that Brianna was elected our district one. For district.
We had the. A lot. Do share on that. Share. And. Or the quickly. And we can. Share out. Data that they. To. And
Wait. Wanted to call out agenda items not to discuss tonight, but typically fund in public meetings. The proposed internal education improvement project. September 3rd, September 9th. And then also the front and public meeting for the proposed Lincolnville and Milesville Every Bridge Approaches project, which the comment starts in 28. And I would like to have my topic for the board to take into our previous communications and reissue another. It's sounding repetitive, but here we go.
Talking about. Agenda. So. That's. I log. There.
Oh,
I think it's on. The bridge approaches. The next meeting. And that makes sense. That. We know. Materials. Yeah. You know, no one. My human aspiration was to post these under our net, well, under our section, and I probably it for the bridge project. Put it up on Google. Hey. These are the dates, these are the times. Time in. Thanks. And yeah, the thing, and where it's that the source of signs or